Host Sean Lennon. Make sure to check out Pro Wrestling Enforcer. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Pro Wrestling Enforcer. And right now we welcome former AAW Pro champion, pro wrestler Shane Hollister to PWE. And he'll be back at AAW for the first time since 2016 for AAW Legacy Friday, February 4th. Currently wrestling for SCW Pro, and we saw him return from his retirement in 2019. And he'll also be wrestling February 5th for SCW Pro. So Shane, excited to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm just stoked to actually start wrestling in AAW again. And man, I don't know. It's going to be a crazy weekend that weekend for sure.
Yeah, talk about how exciting it is to be returning to AAW, the fans, the venue, and your first time outside of Iowa.
Yeah,
wrestling.
it's well in a long time. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That crowd, a lot of those people who still go there basically watched me grow up. Like, I mean, I was wrestling in AAW when I was 18 years old. Maybe even younger. No, I was about 18. So it's crazy that like how much has changed since then also, but also they still have a lot of the same people that still come to shows, which is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you expect the crowd and your match to be like?
I can never say I know what I'm expecting because I never do. I don't even know who I'm gonna be wrestling that night. I know that I'm excited to work with everyone in that locker room, old faces and new. I mean, the talent roster in AAW is stacked. So I'm stoked to work with AAW again and, you know, be back home, my second home.
Definitely. Take us back to your last match before you retired. You spend more time with your family. I think you took on MarekBrave for SCW Pro.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did that. I was off. It's crazy because all it takes is coming back to one show. That's all it took. I didn't wrestle for almost 2 years. Went to a show and MarekBrave walked up to me and he runs the company and he was like, "So we have an idea." And before he even finished, I said, "Yep." And he was like, "Oh, okay, that was easy." I was like, "Yeah, man, if I would have just stayed away from wrestling shows, it might have been a little bit easier, but you go to one and it's just like, you know, you get that tingle, that feeling that you miss this and you love it." So yeah, that was it. He didn't even finish the question.
Definitely. And was that a difficult decision at the time to leave pro wrestling?
Yeah, man, like it had been such a huge part of my life since I was very young, and then doing it at that point for more than half your life, and then you walk away from it is pretty intense to say. It's pretty intense to say that it didn't affect me, which would be a lie. It definitely affected me mentally. It really did, big time. So I thought it was best to walk away from wrestling to try to fix something that was unfixable. And I thought wrestling was the reason that there was a problem when it wasn't wrestling. It was just the person I was with. It didn't work. It didn't work. So
Sure.
in her eyes, she thought wrestling was the holdback, but realistically, it's just we didn't work together, and it is what it is. You know, not every person that you spend time with you're supposed to be with for longer than the time that you actually have together. So with that being said, I missed wrestling tremendously and being in front of people. Yeah, it was rough, man. It was really rough, like being away from wrestling that long.
And how do you feel when you see many wrestlers, working hard for the past decade or 2 decades, and you see them in AEW and other promotions?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah. Are you happy for them?
Oh, dude, I love it, man. Like I'm so stoked. Like there's just so many good guys out there like that are still busting butt and still going. Like guys like Silas Young who've been at it, probably longer than me even, you know what I mean? Like guys like that are still around who are helping these younger guys and still going out there and putting on amazing matches. Like age is a number, man. Like that's it. That's all I have to say about that. Like when it comes to like, older generation and guys still taking it and going. And like I think a lot of these younger guys need us older guys around.
For sure. When you look back, and why do you feel like you never got to be in the bigger events? Like, got signed. May believe that even ROH, would have benefited from your work.
Right. So honestly, the crazy thing is I had this conversation with one of the students down at the school. I felt like my timing has always been off for a lot of things. So in a match that I had with Tyler Black and Seth Rollins in AAW was like a big huge like victory for me, like the underdog won, and the match was really 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 good. And Gabe Skapolsky was there and was like telling me he was going to give me a job for Ring of Honor, and like I started doing work with them, and then all of a sudden Gabe got fired. So that happened. And then when Gabe went off to do Evolve, I was supposed to be on the very first Evolve show and broke my leg, and then never was on an Evolve show again. So it's been a lot of bad timing when it comes to situations like that. But also I felt like would the younger me, if I could go back in time as me now and talk to the younger me, I'd be like, hey man, you need to put yourself out there and just do it, because that's how these guys are being seen now. It's not like, oh, I can just send a video. No, man, you got to get out there and do the work. And I didn't have that in my head when I was younger. I wish I would have, but like a lot of these guys now out there, they just put themselves out there as much as they can, and that's the best thing they can do.
For sure. And you and Davey Richards had a match in 2011 for AAW, and you went over. So that was a huge accomplishment for you. And did you feel like that would have, awarded you some looks by the bigger company?
I was hoping. I mean, like me and Davey got to work together like a few times, and like we've always had. I felt like we had good chemistry and like had good matches, and like I would have thought. But again, it's one of those things that if you're not taking that match and sending it elsewhere, I mean, Davey only has like word of mouth for him to say, yeah, Shane Hollister is good. But if nobody's seeing it, it's just in words. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
So it was one of those things that like, like you can, anybody can go up and tell a promoter, like, hey, this guy's really good. But if they don't see it themselves, if you're not putting yourself out there, sending out matches and interviews and promos, like they are not going to know who you are realistically.
Right. And so you think it was about traveling, getting out there more and traveling for shows?
Yes, definitely. Putting yourself out there, not being afraid of traveling, 10 hours and not making any money. Like sometimes it's scary. Sometimes that sucks. But realistically, those are the times that when you put that much of a sacrifice in, you get a reward. Sacrifice with pro wrestling is huge. Like a lot of guys come into this business that are like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, no, man, like you are going to like have to fail quite often and realize how much you love this before you can go, all right, I'm doing something, I'm just going to keep going. Like you have to love this business.
For sure. And that you feel like that AAW bringing you back, that's going to get you some notoriety.
I hope so. And also, I feel like I get to work with people I've never got to work with before in my life. You know what I mean? Like being in Scott County Pro, I mean, I know all of the students coming in, you know what I mean? Like I get to work with them and a lot of the times. So like these big names that AAW brings in, like these guys are stars all over the United States right now. I've never had a chance to work with those guys, and I really, really desperately want to work with people like that and see if just see how well we can mesh and see if I don't know, just to see where it goes, man. I'm excited. Like I feel like the future's unknown, but I'm excited about it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I mean, you had a great run at AAW, were the world champion, tag team champion, heritage champion. So
Yep.
you have a
I
lot of
held
accolades.
everyone. Yeah, I held all those belts, and I held the heavyweight championship twice.
Mhm.
First one I won from Elgin, Michael Elgin. Second one from Kevin Steen, now Kevin Owens. So yeah, it was awesome. It was a great run, man. And then who I even lost the championship to was an honor. Like, you know, Eddie Kingston's the man, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I just miss being on shows around guys like that who just love wrestling, who are good, you know? And like it's not like I don't have that in Scott County, don't get me wrong. It's just there's a lot of new guys, you know,
Right.
like they're not guys who have been around as long as like a guy like Eddie Kingston or Silas Young and like Alex Shelley, Jimmy Jacobs. Those guys like help make me become a better pro wrestler. And like I just miss being around that atmosphere and feeling that just that feeling of the locker room and like so much greatness around you. And I just I just am very excited to be in AAW again. Like I just feel like that locker room is so stacked
Yeah.
that I don't know. I'm just I don't care who I work with. I'm pumped, man. I just want to be there.
Yeah. It's like each spot there is so coveted almost.
For real, honestly.
And then, you know, talk about, you know, do you have friends and family that come up to see you?
There's some fans that are gonna come up. I'm already being
Okay.
told. Already making signs and stuff, putting it on Twitter and stuff
Nice.
like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think some of the students might be coming up to the show just to watch it as well, which is exciting. Because I know I'm not a part of the Black and the Brave Wrestling Academy, but through Scott County Pro, a lot of those students still learn from me and being in the locker room with me. Like a guy like me and Mason Beck, who've been around a long time. Even Matt Mayday, Crotch, he still works there.
Mhm.
Yeah, like those, like we're the guys that like are helping a lot of the young guys coming in out of the Black of the Brave. So it's nice to have that and be one of those guys. But I mean, I feel like I want to get myself out there more. Like I feel like I'm finding me again, which I felt like I
Mhm.
lost a long time ago. So I don't know, man. I'm just happy about it. I'm really, really happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially when you see, you know, a lot of multiple companies and how big they're getting, like GCW and you know,
Yeah,
bringing in.
GCW's huge right now. Like it's awesome. And then like I personally had never been to a pro wrestling revolver show ran by Sammy Callahan. And I went to one for the first time, I don't know, a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
JJ Garrett was coming out of Davenport, Iowa. And I said, "Hey man, are you going to that show?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going." I was like, "Dude, let me just ride with you. Come hang out." I hadn't seen a lot of those guys in a long time. And just be in that atmosphere too. You know what I mean? It's so different from back home, and just like so many guys from all over. It's just crazy. So I was like, and then the production value was insane.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It was awesome just being there and watching it. And then last time I was at AAW, speaking of production value, it's just insane compared to when I was working there. It just feels like it's so awesome. And like, I don't know, man. I can't even express how excited I am.
Oh yeah, the crew there is they do an amazing job. You see Mike Petrovich always with his camera, and seems
Yep.
like they have a lot of content they gotta
Oh yeah, a
include.
ton. I'm sure they have guys running around like chickens with their head cut off, trying to get interviews and shoot all these promos and all sorts of stuff. But I don't know, man. Like every video I watch, everything that they put out just looks top notch, man. It looks amazing. And it's like, I know for a fact this is what Danny has always wanted. And
Mhm.
it's awesome to watch and then come back and be a part of.
Definitely. Did you see the match with Josh Alexander and Ruby Soho?
I didn't get a chance to watch the whole match,
Mhm.
but the stuff that I did see, like the, hang on one second, sorry.
Oh,
The stuff I saw, like the highlights,
mhm.
the highlights and stuff looked amazing. And like, it just looked amazing. And Josh and Ruby are both so damn good. And I feel like they're kind of part of my generation as well. Like they've been at it for a long time and then
Mhm.
busting butt. And like Josh looks amazing. Like of all the stuff he's been through, like with
Yeah.
all the injuries and like just pushing forward and had missed the show. Like I just read the stuff that all these injuries that he was hiding. Like,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like that is a pro wrestler. Josh Alexander is a pro wrestler through and through, and the man is a machine. And I can't wait to I hope this time around I get a singles with him.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
hope it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And Michael Elgin, you won the title from No Longer Wrestling, but talk about that epic night. I mean, you won that championship, and how did that? How did you receive that?
um, I don't. It's crazy because the build up to it realistically was my feud with Timmy Callahan. It built me and Scarlett in our group with Markus Crane,
Mhm.
and Dan Lawrence. It built us up so high that like it was something that it felt like it needed to happen. It was time to happen. And then when it did happen, I was so excited to have it. One of my best friends at the time, playing my cousin Markus Crane, rest his soul, just passed away
Mhm.
recently, which is, man, I wish he was still here so we could have a conversation about me going back to AAW, but
Mhm.
is what it is, man. But that night was awesome. Winning the belt felt it felt like it was needed. It was time, but I also was slightly. There was a part of me that was slightly like, I don't know if I'm gonna be the guy for this just to run this ship as it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But again, I did. I felt like I performed and gave a great match and a great performance every time I went out there. It wasn't like I felt like I was lackluster by any means, but that night when I won the belt, um, of all the stuff, everybody congratulating me and stuff like that. I walk into the locker room, grab my phone, and it's a text message from Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, Colby Lopez, telling me congrats that I was the champion. And I was like, this is like when somebody does that, it is a bigger deal than sometimes people realize. That I felt like I had to keep carrying the torch for guys back home. Um, and it felt amazing. So like Marek was a champion, Tyler was a champion, and here I am a champion as well. Like the third of Danny's students was a heavyweight champion for his company. And like he doesn't just give them away, like he had to work for that spot.
Mhm.
And I don't know, man, it was really, really important to me. And like it's something I'll never ever forget.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very memorable. And you've been on some very memorable cards, including 2009, a show with the Young Bucks, with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch
Yeah,
of,
it's crazy, man.
yeah.
I've watched literally the best of the best come and go, you know what I mean? Like I've been on shows with those guys, like the Young Bucks. I was on shows with, all right, so in AAW, Bryan Danielson, and then like I was on shows with the Young Bucks in Dreamwave Wrestling out of
Mhm.
LaSalle, Illinois. So like I've been in shows with like great guys like that, or on shows with great guys like that, and uh just I don't know, just the kind of talent that comes through, and sometimes people don't know. You know, they'll walk into a locker room, you kind of feel it, and
Mhm.
like those guys had that like almost instantly. I felt like, well, at least when I was around them, and it's always awesome to be on shows with people like that, and then be a part of it because the crowd is so pumped to see them, but also you get to perform in front of that crowd who's pumped to see them. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It was always awesome. And
Yes.
yeah, man, like the AEW started stacking their cards like around 2009. Stuff started to get really picking up, it felt like. And it just progressed, and it's progressing even more now, which is awesome that I feel like I can be a part of that.
Yeah, definitely. And talk about who you're excited to see at Legacy. What
Oh
wrestlers?
man, everyone. No, I haven't seen. Silas is on the show, right, with Manders.
Yes.
They have a match. I haven't seen Silas in a really long time. Um, Ron Simmons. I got to work with Ron Simmons in Dreamwave.
Mhm.
Um, got to work with him and got to actually take a punch from him, take a bump. And it was pretty cool. Somebody, one of the guys in the back thought he actually got me. I was like, dude, he didn't even touch me. But so no, it was awesome. That was awesome to get to work with him. And then like just to be on these shows again with people that like you haven't seen in a long time, or even some that I haven't met. And am anxious to work with. Like I see all the talent, and I see so many things as I'm watching. I feel like I'm picking out things in my head and ready to just start going nuts artistically when it comes to wrestling. So just excited to see everyone, like realistically when it comes down to it.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of great matches. I mean, Fred Yehai and Chef, they're going to be in a
Yeah, dude, like
unsanctioned.
I feel like I'm coming back to even more of a stacked card, and it's like, okay, now I really have to up my game and be ready for it. And I again, I have no idea who I'm going to be wrestling that night, no clue, but I am very, very, very excited to be there.
For sure. And it might be even a surprise, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that I mean they're telling everybody I'm going to be there, so which is awesome. I thought maybe they would just leave it as a surprise, but
Mhm.
I thought it was really cool that they had announced me, and all the love I'm getting on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that has been very, very, very awesome. And I don't know, man. Like I don't. I just keep smiling every time I'm thinking about the show. Again, like I'm ready to work with whoever they want to put in the ring with me. I'm pumped.
Yeah, definitely. And you shared so many memories of Markus Crane in AAW. And
Yeah,
yeah, remembering him, how important is that for you?
it's going to be very important to me. Like there's going to be things that I pay homage to, especially
Mhm.
for him, almost every time I go to the ring because he was so important in me in my career in AEW or even outside of AEW. Marcus was important to me and always was so smart, so clever when it came to ideas of moves and names for moves and stuff like that. So like I don't know, man. Paying homage to him and trying to keep his legacy going is going to be very important to me.
For sure. And you mentioned Sammy Callahan earlier. I remember in 2015, one of the shows he came back after his match, or after, I think it was your match. You guys had some kind of drink, and I don't know what it was. It didn't look appealing.
Oh,
What was that?
okay. So I think it's if I'm thinking correctly, it is Malort, which is a Chicago native thing, and I think it's kind of a rite of passage for
Okay.
wrestling in Chicago. If you drink, that is. I'm not saying, hey, take this or you can't wrestle here. What I'm saying is like it was kind of it was like a manly drink because it's so not good. It's so terrible. Like anybody's like response or like the question is like what do you describe that taste as? And everyone's response is completely different. It's never the same, and it feels like one of those drinks that when you drink it, if you don't drink something shortly after, it just stays. It
Oh.
just resonates and gets worse and worse and worse. So that was probably the drink that me and Sammy drank.
Yeah, I remember that. I just thought I'd ask,
Yeah, that's like a rite of passage. That was Dan Lawrence introduced me to that, and man, I feel like it's the Chicago wrestling rite of passage, like I said.
For sure. And who are you looking forward most to seeing that you know?
That I know, I mean, I get to see guys like Steve Manders and like the students that are the Black and the Brave quite often. So I mean, obviously I'm excited about seeing Steve, but realistically, I mean, obviously seeing Danny, Mike Pekovich, and those guys, and then seeing Silas. I haven't seen Silas in so long. And another
Okay.
guy that helped me out tremendously. Um, like the matches we've had together, like just I don't know, man. Like I feel like they're timeless. I feel like those matches could last forever. And like I think the big one that me and him had was on YouTube, and it's like one of my favorite matches I've ever had still to this day. So I'm very excited to see Stylus. So yeah, man, yeah, probably maybe him, probably him.
Yeah, definitely. And you think you'll be back to AAW, or is this just a one-shot deal? Or
This is
you're
not a one shot deal, man.
okay.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm coming
Awesome.
back. So the thing is now is just trying to get my cardio up to keep up with
Mhm.
all these young guys, man. Like, holy cow, those guys are machines. But I can be a machine too. Just got to get there. And I'm
Definitely.
ready.
Definitely. Well, we're excited to see it. Everybody check out AAW Legacy. Shane Hollister makes his return February 4th, and we appreciate you being on the show. And if you have any merchandise you want to plug, go ahead.
Not
Or
yet,
anything.
man. Actually, merchandise is still in the works. I haven't had
Okay.
any t-shirts made in a very long time. But that's all in the works. I got a lot of new ideas for me and my wrestling, and then with that comes new ideas for merchandise. So that's
Okay.
all working up here. So yeah, matter of time I'll have some new sweet merch out, and yeah, I hope everybody's excited, or at least
Yeah.
as excited as I am.
Oh, I did want to mention Ali. What do
Yeah.
you think of that whole situation now if he's trying to get released from his contract? And we would love to see him back in AAW as
Oh
well.
man,
You and him.
me and him had a banger. It's on YouTube.
Mhm.
I would love to see Ali again. And I think him asking for his release is just because I think with how talented he is, he's not being utilized in he probably feels like he's not being utilized in the proper form because the guy is a star and he
Mhm.
could be a main event star. And a company like WWE, I think, is still stuck in a lot of their old ways when it comes to how tall you are or how big you are to be a main event star. And Ali's a main event star. He has been for a long time. Before he was even signed, he was a main event star.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, freelance wrestling, can't argue with that. AAW, everything, the body of work he had as well. as well as you have.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. He's one of the greats, and like him asking for his release, honestly, at this point with the way WWE's going, it doesn't surprise me. A lot of those guys are probably feel like they're walking on eggshells, like they're just letting go people left and right, and it's like, why not ask for your release before you get let go? Yeah, I would.
True.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm ready to just leave before you guys cut me when I feel like I'm gonna get something I'm not gonna get. Yeah, let me go.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I appreciate you, Shane, being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer, and best of luck. We'll see you out there February 4th, AAW Pro in Marinette Park, 115 Bourbon Street. And that was another thing is do you have a favorite venue out of all the venues you worked for AAW?
Ever, like for AEW or ever?
Yeah. I was going to
AEW.
say AAW. Did you work Logan
I
Square?
I like Logan Square, but I
Mhm.
think Bourbon Street has been one of my favorite venues for AEW I've ever worked at. Like I really loved those shows, and I felt like there was such an energy at those shows, man. When I was on them anyway, I really, really loved those shows.
Definitely. AAW Legacy, February 4th. Be there. Go to aawpro.com. And I appreciate you, Shane, being on the show. If anybody wants to follow you on the social media, let me know. Let us
Yeah,
know.
it's well at the underscore Shug SHUG. That's my Twitter. Thinking about starting up an Instagram. I gotta get more social, man. Like my Facebook is still under my real name, which will be changing. And then I might even turn it into a fan page because it's gonna get to that point where too many friend requests where you have to switch over. So it's getting there. But yeah, mostly Twitter. If you want to see where I'm working and what I'm doing, that's the place to follow me.
Yes. And can you mention the match you have on February 5th? If you want to go
February
ahead.
5th, I still don't know who I'll be working with at that show
Okay.
either. It's one of those things that I'm in a bitter feud with Matt Cage, and
Okay.
he got me suspended for a month, but I came back and got him eliminated from a battle royal. So we're still at each other's throats, and I'm hoping to get my hands on him on February 5th.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you, Shane, for being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer. Everybody check out Shane Hollister at AAW Legacy February 4th. And I appreciate you being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.